Hello again, everyone. Welcome back. In this technical analysis of the stock market video, we're doing a quick weekend market summary. We're going to start off with the ETF dashboard like we usually do. So the index ETFs barely moved. And, when I looked at the indicators, looked at everything, looked at the movement, it just, like I said in the title, has this eerily quiet type of feeling to it. Now, I know it was holiday shortened week with 4 out of 5 days trading, but we had a Fed week. We got all this, geopolitical activity going on and wars going on, and the market's just sitting here, eerily quiet. So the Russell 2000 up 0.15%, the S&P 500 down 0.5%. And there's no change in the way they're acting for the year. The Dow's negative slightly. The Qs are the strongest, and the Russell 2000 continues to be the weakest. I really don't see any change in that picture. We'll talk about IWM in a minute, and we'll look at the Elliott Wave picture on it today. But when we look at all these 16 sectors, we had 7 positive and 9 negative, exactly what we had the week before. On the year, nothing has changed. 11 up and 5 down. This week, retail bounced back up 2.2%. Healthcare, the most negative, down 2.6%. And industrials continues to lead on the year, up 8.05%. And home construction, ITB, is by far the most negative. Okay, that's where we sit with the dashboard. And let's take a look at the Dow Diamonds. So on Friday, down $1.08, down $1.05 for the week. So really pretty minimal movement in here. Let's take a look at the SPY. And the SPY may be breaking down just a little bit more. This dashed line, I've got it in here for the summer solstice. So, we just had that occur. Well, I guess it actually happened Thursday late into the evening. And I always think of the 21st is what I always think of as when that starts or when it occurs. So I've talked about this range before in terms of the weeks on the weekly view. I think we may be starting to get a little bit of a breakdown here on the SPY. Down 316 on Friday, down 272 for the week. Let's take a look at the Qs. The Qs also, but not nearly as strong as what's going on with the SPY. This was down 216, starting to get a little bit of breakdown. Down 13 cents for the week. That just not much movement. Let's take a look at IWM. And IWM was down 44 cents on Friday, but up 32 cents on the week. But again, there's not any super bullish type of activity on the weekly view. The trend is definitely to the downside. We've had a pretty good little bounce back, but I'm thinking this is the end of a wave too. And when you look at Friday's price action, it was just an inside down day. Okay, so it gapped up at the open, couldn't go anywhere, did not take out Thursday's high, and then just sat there, pulled back a little bit. Okay, when I look at the Elliott Wave picture, there's no change to what I'm looking at. Okay, this is a weekly view. So I think we've got 1 down, 2 up, in that I'm looking for this to roll over. And well, it's starting to roll over, and I'm looking for this to start to accelerate to the downside. Something's a little bit out of line here, and that's why these are overlapping. There we go. That helps. And I'm not sure what is going on there. There we go. So this is, we're going in the right direction, but we haven't fallen out of bed yet on this. So watching some key levels down below here and looking for this to continue to sell off. But this is the wave count that I'm looking at on IWM. The bigger picture, I've talked about this before. We really tried to get bullish, really thought maybe this was just a pullback and we had another bull move going. It just petered out. It just couldn't do anything. And so right now, I think this is the highest probability in terms of what is going on in terms of the bigger picture with the Russell. So that's where we sit as of the close on Friday, the 20th. And Now I want to take a look at a couple of indicators. Let me just go over here. I'll just look at the daily. Let me pull this up. Let's look at the VIX. So what's interesting about the VIX now is it's been above the 10-day moving average for 6 days in a row. It's holding above the 20 level, a little bit of elevation in here. And, I know everyone always thinks of you get above the 20 level, the VIX is getting elevated in terms of its rate. And so we'll see what happens, but we really, again, because of the way the week was, the trading this week, pretty quiet. Just kind of sideways type movement in here. Let's take a look at the high yield bond fund. Now this is looking interesting because we're getting up in that resistance zone that I've talked about before. We had a pretty good move to the upside on Friday. I don't know if options expiration had something to do with it. The June monthlies expired on Friday. So we're up into this zone, which we've been in 3 other times in terms of major turning points. Well, I guess 2 other times, but it looks like 3 to me. And so you'd have to say, well, this is the 4th time kind of pushing up into the middle of this. And we'll see, are we going to get repulsed back down, or are we going to close above this range in here and run? But right now I'd have to say, you got to have a little bit of caution and look at this and say, okay, resistance could be coming in. When you look at the indicators on HYG, nothing really jumps out at you. Pretty flat, pretty sideways type of activity, actually. Okay, let's take a look at the Mag 7. Okay, I'm going to go back to the daily view in here, and I'm going to start off with Alphabet, Google. I always use Google Class A. I just like it. This to me looks like the one that has broken down the most in terms of leading to the downside. And you can see what it did on Friday, down $6.68. And it just looks like it's starting to break down. We haven't taken out this low here yet. And I'm trying to see if it'll give it to us on the screen. There we go. Almost. 165.28, and on Friday the low was 165.46, so we are like right there, but we've already taken out one little pivot low. And so I think this is looking pretty weak. We're not nearly the kind of strength that you're seeing in a couple of the others. Amazon, so I would say this is number 1 in terms of leading to the downside right now. I would say Amazon's number 2. It just started on Friday. Okay, so we're just starting to break out. And if I had to look at, I'd say, well, 194.54, or say 195-ish, would be at least a near-term target if it continues to sell off like I'm looking for it to do. And then the next one is Meta, which has been, very, very strong in terms of the push back up, almost got to the February highs. But it too has started to break down, okay, starting to take out some of these pivot lows. And if you had to sit back and target, well, if we get a 50% retracement of that entire move, we're looking at 594. And where did we close? 682.35. So pretty good little pullback could be on the way. We've got this gap right in here. Doesn't quite get you to 50%. Then there's another gap down here that's a whole heck of a lot deeper. I mean, if you get all the way down to 61.8%, then you're down in that neighborhood. But I would say this is the 3rd one that looks like it's on the way. Now, the strongest, Microsoft, by far. I mean, this has just gone straight up. It's just trending super strong. When you look at the ADX, I mean, the ADX rating over here, 46.77. It's just... And all you have to do is look at the chart, and it's above the 10-day moving average, it's above the top of the Keltner channels, and it just continues pushing, but it's definitely worth watching. I mean, we're getting divergence showing up in here. Now, NVIDIA also, we're getting the divergences. This has been very strong and hasn't started to break down yet, but I think you got to watch this for a breakdown. So I'd say Microsoft and NVIDIA are 2 potential that we're looking at. Now, Tesla, when I look at Tesla, this looks near term, short term, like maybe it's a little negative. The moving averages have rolled over to the side, downside in here, but we've really just gone sideways, especially this last week. I mean, look at this right here. This day is June 13th, a week ago Friday. Okay, all we've done is traded within the range of last Friday's activity, price action. So we've gone nowhere this last week. Very, very quiet. Okay, so I would look for this to continue to come down. We're good. The indicators look somewhat negative, but if it takes out this high, this June 11th high, 335.50, I think there's a pretty good chance it's going to make a run to take out the May highs, and then we'll see where we go. Now, Apple, the last one. Apple looks like it's waking up all of a sudden. I mean, it's just not quite sure what the pattern is in here, although, you come off this low down here, this just almost looks, like a flag of some kind. Are we going to get another leg? And then you look at the price action that it just did on Friday. So you had these others that are breaking down or just sideways, and then you got Apple closing above a 5-day high, okay, closing above the 21-day moving average. And so it's strong push, and look at the volume that kicked in here. Big volume on the move to the upside. So we need to look for follow through, and then does it come up and take out these pivot highs in here and continue to push? Okay, that's the picture for this weekend. We'll see what happens this coming week. We're back to a full week, at least for one more week. And then, of course, the week after that, the 4th of July holiday, we have 3.5 days of trading. So we'll see what kind of fireworks we can get this coming week. All right, if you felt like the video was helpful, give it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber to the channel, hit that little subscriber button. And if you'd like more of this information on a regular basis, head on over to joehenches.net. Everyone have a great week. We'll talk to you on the next video.